Hello, everybody. According to the official timekeeping system of the United States of America, my Verizon wireless Apple 15 phone, and believe me, Jim, it's not paid off. It's exactly 1 o'clock Eastern time on June 14th of 2024. Is a decent day in Cincinnati, Ohio. A little on the muggy side, I will admit that, Jim, right?
A little bit, yeah, but not too bad.
You are listening to the Social Security Talk podcast. I'm your co-host, Marc, located in Blue Ash, Ohio. Jim Blair is my partner. Jim, where are you located?
I'm in Ross, Ohio, a little north of Cincinnati.
This podcast is brought to you by the National Social Security Advisor Certificate Program. Jim and we teach a class nationwide about Social Security. After advisors take our training, they take a test, and after they pass the test, they'll earn the NSSA certificate. And we offer our class 3 ways: live in person, live webinars, and taped on-demand videos. Jim, we will be in Chicago on June 27th, followed by Kansas City August 29th, maybe, and Cincinnati on September 6th. Jim, talk about the support that we offer, please.
Well, we call it the gold standard, but we do offer support to anyone who takes our class and becomes an NSSA certificate holder. That means if you have questions, you can call us, you can email us. We'll be happy to answer your questions. So when your clients ask you a question you can't answer about Social Security, then you have a resource, that's us, to answer those questions. Some of them we see a lot. Some of them we feel are fairly simple. Maybe that's because we've answered them a bunch of times. But we know that they're not simple or routine for you. So people assume if you deal with money that you know everything about everything that has anything to do with money. And that may be true, but more than likely it isn't. So it's always good to have a resource, and that's us.
And to learn more about our program, send a few ways. Send me an email, mkiner, Kiner, at mypremierplan.com. Give me a call, 513-247-0526. That's our office line. It comes directly to my Verizon wireless cell phone, 513-247-0526. And connect with me on LinkedIn. Go to your LinkedIn page, send me a connection request. M. Kiner, Kiner. No. Send me a connection request. Marc with a C. Kiner, Kiner. And finally, go to our website, premierNSSA.com. That's NancySamSamApple.com. And you'll learn more about our class. Jim, I don't think you mentioned the webinars we have or the open forums, did you?
No, didn't talk about those. We have monthly webinars where we will go over changes. And for instance, usually in October, we talk about the changes for the upcoming year because that's when Social Security announces them. So we'll have the cost of living adjustment, or we'll know what the figures are for computing benefits for people turning 62 in 2025. But we do it each month. We go over any changes that have come along. We go over questions that we get from advisors and cover just different topics that we think people would be interested in. So we have those webinars, but we also have generally every 2 weeks an open forum. So that is kind of the wild, wild west where all of the advisors that log into the open forum can ask us a question that they want and what's on their mind. A lot of times people just tune in to hear what the other questions are, but we get a lot of good questions through the open forum, and it seems to be pretty popular.
So during this episode of the Social Security Talk podcast, we are going to discuss situational Social Security. When we teach our class, we focus on situational Social Security. There are 75 million baby boomers out there, and they all have different set of situations available to them. As a matter of fact, if Jim Blair meets with 10 married couples, they will all have different set of Social Security claiming strategies that they need to consider. So we will talk about situational Social Security for the bulk of today's get together. But Jim, before we talk about that, can you estimate the, what do you call it, Jim? The COLA for 2025?
At this point, it's looking a little north of 3%, maybe somewhere between 3 and 3.5, maybe 3.3, 3.4. So probably the way things are heading, a little bit north of 3%.
Okay. So, Jim, situational Social Security. Let's talk about the first one. It's really simple. Let's talk about single folks. As you know, I'm single, right, Jim?
That you are.
What are some of the rules that you are, or concerns or strategies that you might want to talk about relating to single people?
Well, single folks are looking at just their own Social Security. When we say single, we're not talking about spousal benefits, survivor benefits, that type of thing. So you're just looking at your own work record. And when do you want to start your benefits? Have to keep in mind that once those benefits begin, that's what you're going to receive. And unless you go back to work, which may, and I emphasize may, increase your Social Security, or cost of living adjustments, which will increase your Social Security, that's the only increase to your benefit that you're going to see. So you want to make sure that what you're receiving goes well with your other sources of income. You can file at 62. You can file at age 70 or anywhere in between. You're not going to file for retirement before age 62, and no reason to apply after age 70. There's just no good reason to wait beyond age 70 to start those benefits. So regardless of someone's full retirement age, that 8-year window is when they're going to decide, when should I start my benefits? And then they'll receive that. It is a lifetime benefit, so they'll receive it for the rest of their life. And as I mentioned, then cost of living adjustments will increase it. And if they go back to work, maybe they'll see it increase, but it's not all that much.
So we are talking about single folks. Those are individuals that are not in a relationship with the spouse, just somebody single, like me. I'm single. And my full retirement age, I was born in 1956, was 66 and 4 months. So I actually began my benefits at my full retirement age. When I pass away, Jim, right, nobody's going to collect off me. Am I correct?
That's correct. So you want to take that into consideration. And, do you file at 62 or full retirement age? That's going to be dependent, too, on if you have any work. Earnings that you have working either for someone and receiving a W-2 form, or if you're self-employed and you have a net profit, that can affect your benefits until you reach your full retirement age. It's what's called the earnings test, and it would have an effect on you being able to draw. So maybe you want to file at 62, and with all your other sources of income and retirement, that would be enough money for you. But if you're still working, you may still have to wait anyway.
Another type of situation we'd like to talk about are married couples. So if you have husband and wife, they can both wait until age 70 and maximize their own Social Security benefits, and they get all of those delayed retirement credits. The family maximum does not apply in that situation where you have husband and wife both waiting to age 70 to maximize their own individual benefits. Many times, if you have a wife that is eligible for her own benefits and she's younger than the husband and her earnings have been lower during her working career, sometimes the proper strategy is for the wife to take her benefits at her full retirement age. No, as early as age 62. That might allow the husband to wait until his full retirement age or as late as age 70 to collect his benefits. And if he's able to wait all the way up to age 70, now we're maximizing his own retirement benefits, which which is good because upon his passing, his wife will step into a higher benefit amount. So many times it makes sense for wife to take her benefits early. Husband may wait anywhere from his full retirement all the way up to age 70. Jim, I was at a Cincinnati Reds baseball game the other day, and I was sitting next to Harold, our good friend Harold. We were talking about if people wait till age 70 to collect their benefits, and Harold told me 95% of folks wait till age 70. And that really gave me a little cause for concern. Jim, what do you say about that?
Well, poor Harold, he was wrong again. It's somewhere between 5 to 7%. It's not a high number. Usually the people that wait are those that are still working and they don't need the money. If they go ahead and draw it, they know they're going to end up paying income tax on it. They may, if they have Medicare, pay a little bit more Medicare premiums. So there's some things to consider when you're thinking about filing, because that earnings test we just talked about goes away at full retirement age. Nothing stops you from drawing your benefit at full retirement age. You could be working full time, have a high income, and still receive your Social Security benefit. Another reason not to file, a lot of times people don't want Medicare because they have a pretty good insurance based off of their work or their spouse's current work. And you don't have to file for Medicare if you're covered through an employer group health plan through current employment. Well, if you take a benefit, you can still refuse Part B of Medicare, but not Part A. And if your health insurance includes a health savings account, you can no longer contribute to that HSA. So a lot of people won't file for anything until age 70 or when they stop work, just because of the insurance that they receive from their employer or their spouse's employer.
Yeah, Harold, when we teach our class, we teach it three ways: on demand, live webinar and taped, and live in-person class. When we teach our class, Jim and I teach it along with our good friend Harold. Harold really keeps the class fun, entertaining, and helps to move the content along at a nice speed. Jim, let's talk about the spousal benefit. How much percentage-wise is a spousal benefit, and when can a spouse take that benefit?
A lot of confusion here. A lot of people understand that it's half of their spouse's Social Security benefit, but they don't know how it works. So the first thing you have to do is figure out, Social Security calls it a PIA, primary insurance amount, but it's someone's benefit at their full retirement age. So you take their full retirement age benefit and divide it in half. And that's the spousal benefit that's payable to a spouse. If they have their own work history and they're eligible on their own work record, you have to take your own benefit first. So to determine the spousal boost that you may be eligible for, you take the higher earners' full retirement age benefit, divide it in half, subtract the lower earners' full retirement age benefit, and that's the spousal portion that would be payable at their full retirement age. So it gets a little confusing, but just remember it's based off of full retirement age amounts. Whether your higher earning spouse takes their benefit at 62 or waits till 70, your spousal benefit is going to be based on half of what their benefit would have been at their full retirement age.
Jim, can my spouse take off my record and then wait until age 70 to take her own?
No, that's no longer available. There was a strategy called restricted application. You may have heard of that. That's gone. They changed the rules. Congress and President Obama back in 2016 or 15 changed the rules. And so that's grandfathered out. And now, because of something called deemed filing, you have to take your own benefit first. Then if you're eligible for a spousal benefit, you would take that on top of your own. But you must take your own first, and then any other benefit that you're eligible for.
Yeah, Jim was referring to, as you probably guessed, or maybe Jim actually said it. I was daydreaming, Jim. The restricted application. And that finally went away at the end of May of 2024. So nobody at this point will be using that restricted application. As a matter of fact, Jim, I don't think you met with anybody even in 2023 that was able to file a restricted app. Maybe one or two, but not many.
Yeah, none that I recall. If I did, it would have been real early. So it's been at least a year and a half or so since we've even spoke to someone about actually filing the restricted application.
Okay, let's talk about divorced spouses. Let's have a little bit of fun. Let's assume I'm divorced. So for my ex-wife to collect off my work record, she must be single. I could be remarried, but she must be single. She must be at least age 62. We must be married for at least 10 continuous years. And I must be receiving a Social Security benefit. So if I decide I want to, if I'm my full retirement age now and I decide I want to wait to age 70, that means my ex-spouse can't draw off my work record until I turn my benefits on 4 years later at age 70. Jim, that puts a lot of control into my side of the court. Isn't there a way around the provision that I must be receiving benefit for my wife to collect off me, my ex-wife to collect off me?
Yeah, that is a little bit of strategy that someone might try to take advantage of to have a little control there. And so they've included a second category of divorced spouses. It's called independently entitled divorced spouse. And a lot of the rules are the same. You still have to be single. You still had to be married to your ex for 10 years or more. It's not 10 happy years. It's just 10 years, 10 continuous years. And you both must be age 62. And if you've been divorced for 2 years or longer, it does away with the requirement that your ex file for benefits before you can file on their work record. So you can go ahead and apply. Maybe you and your spouse reach age 62. You want to file for the divorced spouse benefit. Your spouse intends to work until they're age 70 and wait to take their own benefit at age 70. You can go ahead and file for the independently entitled divorced spouse benefit.
Jim, you mentioned you have to be married for at least 10 years. Okay, I get that. But then you mentioned they don't have to be happy years. I don't get that. I thought there was a provision in the law that says you must be married to your ex-spouse for at least 10 happy years to be able to collect off that person. Isn't that the case?
That is not the case. Now, sometimes people get divorced and they think, that wasn't such a good idea, and they remarry. And what Social Security will do is if you're divorced in 1 year, if you remarry that same spouse before the end of the following year, they'll disregard the divorce. But if it's 2 years or longer, then they'll look at either period to see if one of those was 10 years or more. So it gets a little tricky in there, but I'd say probably most of the divorces don't end up, the couples don't end up remarrying each other. Although I knew someone that did that, and it didn't. They ended up with a second divorce anyway. So you just have to look at it. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, it's not when you're separated. So if you and your spouse separate, you're still married until you go through and have the divorce, and until the clerk of courts puts that into the court records. So it's the date that the record is recorded in the court records. And if you made it 10 years, then it's possible you could be eligible for a divorced spouse benefit. On the other hand, it could be possible your ex is eligible in your work record. Good news is, though, divorced spouse benefits have no effect on the higher earners benefit.
Now, don't forget, an ex-spouse cannot draw off their ex-spouse and wait to age 70 to draw their own benefit and get all those DRCs, because that deemed filing provision applies even to ex-spouses. So an ex-spouse must take their own benefit first. And then if they're eligible for something off their ex, they'll get that too. They cannot draw off their ex without taking their own benefit first. Hey, Jim, let's talk about retroactive benefits. I always like the word retroactive. It makes me light up a little bit. I'm green, I'm violet, whatever. I'd light up. My face is glowing, Jim, and so are my toes. Anyway, Jim, let's talk about retroactive benefits. Somebody's over full retirement age. I say your full retirement age is 67, you're 68. Can you go back and get some retro benefits?
You can have up to 6 months of retroactive benefits that are payable. So if someone was 68 and they applied today, they could go back 6 months, and Social Security already owes them 6 months worth of benefits. Now, that takes away some of the delayed retirement credits. If you go back 6 months, then that's 6 delayed retirement credits. That's 4% increase that you lose by taking the retroactive benefit. The plus to that is that you receive a back check for 6 months worth of payment. So you have to weigh which is better. Do I want the higher benefit, which I will receive the rest of my life, or do I want to take the little bit lower benefit and get 6 months of retroactive benefits? If you're not yet full retirement age, you can't begin benefits any earlier than the month that you apply. If you're going to call and make an appointment, if you call today and they might say, yeah, there's an appointment available in July or maybe even August, but you wanted your benefits to begin in June, then you would be okay because you made the appointment in June, and they would use the day you made the appointment as your application date. But they wouldn't go back any further than that. So if someone wanted benefits to say start in May and it's June already, the earliest the benefits would be June.
So usually it's not a good idea to go back and get retroactive benefits because, like Jim said, you lose those DRCs, and that could really that will impact you for the rest of your life. And if a spouse is going to collect off you when you're gone, it's going to impact the surviving spouse benefit down the road for the rest of that person's life also. However, though, it could fit in some situations. Let's say you've got husband and wife. The wife has not yet begun her benefits. Let's say she's 68 and her benefit is lower than her husband's. In that case, it might make sense for her to go ahead and file and go back 6 months and get a nice retroactive benefit because her husband's not going to collect off her work record anyway when she's deceased. So she goes back 6 months, gets a nice lump sum check. Sure, she'll lose the DRCs based on that on those 6 months. Sure, she'll lose 4%, but that really might not be a bad trade-off. That might be a way and a reason to utilize that strategy. Jim, we're kind of running out of time, but before we end today's podcast, let's talk about full retirement age. What would be full retirement age? What's the range nowadays?
Yeah, it's going to be somewhere between 66 and 67, probably realistically at this point, 66 and 2 months and 67. Yeah. But it's based on your year of birth. So if you were born in 1955, it's 66 and 2 months. If someone was born in 1960 or later, full retirement age is 67. And then it jumps 2 years starting with 1956.
2 months.
66 and 4 months. So, yeah.
You said 2 years, Jim.
Oh, 2 months, 2 months at a time. 2 years would be a little tough. So most people probably full retirement age is closer to 67 or 67 or older. But it is based on your year of birth. And there's a lot of things to take into consideration for full retirement age. The earnings test no longer applies. If you file prior to your full retirement age, your benefit is going to be reduced for each month that you begin benefits before your full retirement age. If you delay past your full retirement age, your benefit's going to be increased for those delayed retirement credits. So it's based on the number of months you either take it early or delay past full retirement age. And also full retirement age is when the earnings test no longer applies. Regardless of what you earn, you can still draw your Social Security benefit. So it's an important date to know. People should understand that. And if you don't know it, where do you find it? Hopefully you've created the online account on the SSA.gov website. It's the My Social Security account. Just pull up your benefit statement and it'll tell you what your full retirement age is.
So our Social Security Talk podcast is brought to you by the National Social Security Advisor Certificate Program, which Jim and I created back in 2013. As a matter of fact, we created the industry, the Social Security Advisor Education Certificate industry back in 2013. So we're excited about that. Around 5,000 advisors have taken our training. 2,800 or so have earned our certificate. We offer our class 3 ways: live in person, live webinar, taped on demand video. Please visit our website, premiernssa.com. That's Nancy Sam Sam Apple. To learn more, you can go to that website. Give me a call, 513-247-0526, or send me an email, mkiner, Kiner, at mypremierplan.com. Well, Jim, I had a great time. Did you?
Yeah, talking about some good stuff about Social Security, things that we get a lot of questions about, and I think people want to know. Hopefully they want to know.
Jim, we didn't tackle public employees or surviving spouse benefits, so let's try to remember to talk about those two topics with next month's edition of Social Security Talk.
Yeah, folks will just have to tune into that one as well. So,
all right, folks, thanks so much for joining us today. And until next time, have a great day, and I hope your Major League Baseball team is winning. Take care, everybody. See you,
bye.
Jim.
See you.
Bye.